stay awake. Most people are daydreaming and sleepwalking. Stay awake. Stop. Look at the amazing colors this season. This is being recorded in spring of 26. I go outside, I've got acreage here, and I've got trees, macadamia nut and almond and fruit and citrus and peach and pear and blah, blah, blah. I look at the different colors of the greens and the fruits and the birds and the argument between the hawks and the crows and the lizards who do push-ups on my pickleball court. And just stay awake and alert and ask yourself, what could, might, should, ought me to see and observe, a problem that I could fix? Who can I bless? I think love is just damn good business. So I ask myself, what does love look like in this situation?
This podcast isn't just another conversation. It's a standard. This show is about cultivating an unshakable mindset, mastering focus, and gaining the clarity needed to lead with conviction. To go beyond this episode, visit the Prime 40 website for tools and insights built for growth. I'm Jack Lima. Welcome to the Jack Lima Podcast. All right, David. So I was looking at your bio, and you're the author of Preventing Brand Slaughter, Mentor to Mentors. Tell me a little bit about the book to our listeners and possibly new listeners in the future.
Well, actually, that's one of 17 books I've written. So I can tell you about that book, or I could tell you about the etymology of that book and how that manifests in my consulting and speaking. And it's however you want to approach it and whatever we feel can bless and serve the listeners.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you decide what you think you would benefit my listeners and new listeners, what they could use from this podcast. What could they use it and execute it?
What I want, the message I like to get across to individuals who are alive and awake and serious about their growth, expansion, transformation, evolution, etc., is with life and in business, we can't solve every problem we face, but we can't solve any problem unless we face it. And I teach face it, follow it, and fix it in one of my earliest books called Illuminate. And I was just speaking to the agent who sold it to Wiley in New York. That was in 2008. Can you imagine that? And so before then and even after that, I teach, let's get real. What are we not facing? What do we need to face, follow, and fix? And I even did a TED Talk about that some time ago, about my experience at Woodstock, that poster over my head. I was at that little party in 1969 with another 500,000 kids. And it was there that I learned, it was really kind of cool, Jack, because I was getting kicked out of backstage. It was pouring down rain. If you see my TED Talk, it tells the story, but I got backstage before it started and I slept in the sound truck, and then when I was having to go find a tree or a porta potty, some guy goes, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And I went, "No, it's okay. The guy said it's cool." He goes, "I'm the guy. It's not okay. Get the hell out of here." And before I left, some guy saw me and he had this big afro. He was sitting cross-legged like a guru or something. And he looked at me like he knew me, and he was supposed to give me a message. And he said these 14 fateful words to me. He says, "Man, you're either green and growing or ripe and rotting, but you're never standing still." And I was just turned 17 by a few days, and I was like, okay. I didn't have a clue what he was talking about. But I found out later what that means. We're either green and growing or ripe and rotting. And one of the things that translated into so many years later were businesses, and then illuminating, and then writing the book about Illuminate. And it's really been sort of the bedrock or foundation of my consulting, my mentoring, my inventing of products, my writing of books. So there's sort of some early etymology, sort of the launch pad that I didn't even invent any of this stuff. This stuff just came to me. I'm the real Forrest Gump, okay? I ain't the smartest guy in the world, but the universe keeps providing, and I keep going, yes. And the more you say yes, the more you download,
Yeah. So when you said inventing, are you inventing like programs or inventing actual product?
Yeah, I invent things, man. I invented something in optometry and ophthalmology years ago, and I won a big award presented by Margaret Thatcher and Maya Angelou and Tom Peters and Newt Gingrich, and that was 20 some odd years ago. My current invention, the rejuvenation station, is in every New York City hospital. It's all over the country with the VAs. It's a pod to interrupt the pattern of stress for emergency room doctors and nurses. And now we've got it in the sheriff's department. You open the door, you sit down, you choose a nature video. First it says, how are you feeling? It captures that data. And then you choose a nature video, maybe 3 minutes or 8 minutes. And then afterwards it says, well, how are you feeling now? And it captures that data. So it's called the Rejuvenation Station. Anybody who wants to see it, it's Rejuvenation Stations, plural, rejuvenationstations.com. So yeah, man, I use the Illuminate model to invent that product, and I could tell you how, but I don't want to bore you with it,
I've never heard that before, and it's getting great results from the people that are using it.
94% of the people, it moves the needle from stressed, burnout, into relaxed. They go from their crazy roles and goals down into their souls, so they're more present for themselves and for others. And here's how it came about from the Illuminate model. I really want the readers to get this. The face it, follow it, and fix it. Face it, burnout before COVID was a $4.38 billion burn, just burn and churn, because of stress-related burnout and turnover. That was before COVID. Can you imagine what the numbers are now?
Yeah.
And then with Doge cutting, let's say in the VA, it's interesting. Yeah. So face it, if we keep going this way, we're going to have a shortage of nurses and doctors, which sadly I was right. Follow it. Why is that? There's nothing to interrupt the pattern of stress. What leadership does is to show support of their doctors and nurses, just to throw some pizza in the room. Or maybe there's a meditation room or a yoga room across campus, but they can't do that. They don't have 10 minutes to walk there, 30 minutes to do it in 10. So I followed that, and the fix was, what if I could have something right there on station? They ain't got to go nowhere. And if somebody needs them, they could tap them on the shoulder and go, yo, dude, we need you. And so we did it, we tested it, we took it to test at Houston Methodist Hospital. Even during the testing, we had 2 TV segments on it. And then COVID hit. 2 weeks later, COVID hit. And I can't put people in a closed space like that. So now what do? Face it, follow it, and fix it. Face it, can't put them in a closed environment. Follow it, the video works, the audio works, the software works. Fix it, create a kiosk with noise-canceling headphones. And throw away, little shower caps for either side of the headphone. You know what I'm saying? And I won the International Healthcare Design Award for innovation, freaking worldwide. Face it, follow it, and fix it.
So that was always, when you were a child growing up, did you do things like that? The ordinary side of inventing things that came to mind, or is that something that you learned with time and experience and living life? Or do you actually have that ability as a young kid?
I'm really not sure of the answer to that, Jack, except to say this: stay awake. Most people are daydreaming and sleepwalking. Stay awake. Stop. Look at the amazing colors this season. This is being recorded in spring of 26. I go outside, I've got acreage here, and I've got trees, macadamia nut and almond and fruit and citrus and peach and pear and blah, blah, blah. I look at the different colors of the greens and the fruits and the birds and the argument between the hawks and the crows and the lizards who do push-ups on my pickleball court. And just stay awake and alert and ask yourself, what could, might, should, ought me to see and observe? A problem that I could fix. Who can I bless? I think love is just damn good business. So I ask myself, what does love look like in this situation? I don't typically work on Friday afternoons, but someone whom I care about, Mickey, who's tied into my dear friend Marge or Simon, I love these people. What does love look like? Well, if it blesses and serves them, I'm in. And so here we are. So when you keep your senses open, Jack, are you familiar with the reticular activator system? Has anybody ever tried? Yeah, it's really cool. It's these cells in the back of your head, right? And it's a filter. You set that filter and then you see that. Like, you never see a red Tesla, but your neighbor buys one, then you see red Teslas all over the place, My daughter needed tires for her car years ago. I'll never forget this. And that day, they ran full-page ads in the newspaper of tires just for me. No, they're always there. I just didn't give a hoot, right? So if you set your reticular activator for solving problems, for blessing and serving, helping people, when you set the filter for that, boom, you see it. And so maybe that answers your question, and maybe that's an accurate answer. I don't know, but I'm glad to share that idea.
Yeah, thank you. What's the biggest mistake that people make with their health?
Number one, they don't attend to it. They take it for granted. They totally take it for granted. It's like, what's that song when I was growing? You don't know what you got till it's gone, right? And same thing with health. Most people don't attend to their health until and unless they have a major health event. And by that time, it's not that it's too late, but what a shame, or a sin. I was going to say shin, made up a word. It's so sad. But then again, we're all, well, to a degree, I know I was guilty of that. I was obese. A doctor said, David, you're obese. I went, F you too, brother. He goes, no, man, look at you, blah, 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 blah. And I realized I was. And that was a beautiful wake-up call. So I illuminated it. I faced it, followed it, and fixed it. Face it, the guy said I'm obese. Well, it's true. I'm 50 pounds overweight. Follow it. If I don't take care of it, I ain't going to live long. Or if I do live, it's not really living. And someday I'm going to have grandchildren, which I do now, and I want to be able to hang out with them and play ball with them and whatever and this and that. Fix it. By the way, one of the things I followed was I was actually every day training to be an athlete. Every night I'd drink wine, and then my blood sugar would go low, and I'd eat anything in the house. Well, I was training to be an athlete, but unfortunately that athlete was a sumo wrestler. Because that's what they do with sumo wrestlers. Feed them stuff, late at night, high fat, boom, and have them go to sleep. So face it, follow it, and fix it. I released 50 pounds. I maybe put 3 or 4 back and shifted the whole everything.
So what do you think people today struggle to be consistent with their health?
They go back to sleep. Here's the deal. Here's a definition for you, Jack. Character. I'm here to say people have limited character. Now, what is character? Character is following through on an idea long after the excitement of the inception has died down. January 15th, plenty of room in the gym. January 2nd, busy as shit, right? That's the deal. So I think they fall asleep. And here again, if you look and you face it, follow it, and fix it, if you put Post-it notes up opposite the toilet where when you're standing up and you're peeing, boom, women, Post-it notes on the door, behind the Post-it. Have these signs. The Old Testament said, you should love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your might, your soul. Teach it to your children when you rise, when you wake up. Bind it as a sign upon your hand and your doorpost. In other words, keep that shizzle in front of you. And I'm saying, Post-it notes was predicted in the Old Testament. Yeah. Boom, mic drop.
So at what point in your life, when did you realize that you needed to take care of your body? Because like most people, right, it's too late. Or like you said, they have come down with a condition, or they find out they had something, it's too late. So I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease at the age of 15. And that was back in 1988. And there was no internet, no social media. Everything, you got to go get a library card to look up anything back in the day, right? You can't just Google it back in 1980. So I was diagnosed with Crohn's, and pretty scary at that time. I was 15 years old. And my parents are immigrants. They didn't really speak much English. So first generation American, myself, my sister, and my brother. And so when they told me that I had this thing called Crohn's, I was just like, what is that? And it's a lifetime disease. There's no cure, and you'd be on medicine. And I looked at my mom, and she doesn't even have a high school diploma. She's like, she was in shock. She didn't know how to comfort me as a boy. And my dad, the same thing. Thank God I got into health and fitness. I realized at the age of 15, sophomore in high school, I'm like, how do I take control of this disease before it takes control of me? And I realized that reading back in the day, the bodybuilder magazines were Arnold Schwarzenegger, that was on cover magazines, fitness and health, men's health, started seeing things, protein shakes, weight gainers, working out. And I see all these people going from before to after, David. I'm like, well, I'm sick. I'm 40 pounds underweight. How do I look like that? And it was my fitness, health, realized that could be my way into hiding this disease or making myself feel better. So I latched into fitness and health and overcame my chronic illness through fitness and health. Unfortunately, a lot of people are scared to go to the doctors, or they don't understand the nutrition side of food, or they're too scared to ask because they don't want to hear the end. For me, it was at 15. I don't know about what age you figured out health is more important than money. At what point did you realize for you that health is more important?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there, and thank you for sharing your story. There's two things I want to say. One is I'll answer your question. I had an awareness, and most of this is what I'm finding, because I mentor some very famous people and a lot of people who are not famous. There's a concept of awareness and attentiveness, and there's a gap. I knew for 20 some odd years I should not smoke cigarettes. 20-year gap. Awareness, attentiveness. I knew I was eating improperly, but awareness and attentiveness. So I think for me, for a listener here today, I'm not so sure that my path is as relevant as theirs. They care about them more than they care about me. So all I could say is, in my particular path, for example, I woke up and I looked to the present and the future. I faced it and I got real. What are the implications of doing what I'm doing forever or not making changes? And when I looked at the pain I would suffer and the pleasure I would not get, that was it. Game over. But when you're asleep and nobody smacks you in the head, be it the universe by your getting a diagnosis or a loved one saying, come here, I love you. If you keep, you see what I mean? So to have that significant emotional event, that's where mentoring comes in, not opinion, but counsel and mentoring. So I don't know, man. I mean, anybody who's listening right now who's not, they're probably not listening if they're not already engaged and embraced in the process. But if they are, or if they have a loved one who's not, look at the spin model, the situation, the problem, the implications, and the needs payoff. When you look at the implications, man, it might stroke a chord, you know?
Yeah. It's physical health does everything in your life, as you probably already know that. Because like you said, you can have all the money in the world. My dad used to tell me all the time, if you don't have health, family, it doesn't really matter. I know when I had a major surgery about 15 years ago, I was assured I was going to be probably not going to wake up out of surgery. And when you wake up a month later after being in some medical-induced coma and you see a family around your bed and you realize I made it through, and then you're fighting for life the next 12 months, it didn't matter how much money I had in my bank account, David. I was looking at my wife and I was looking at my son and I'm like, God, just please give me one more day to go outside and play football with my son in the backyard. I'll have a nice dinner with my wife and you can take it. Even though I had a great lifestyle and had everything I wanted that I could want at the age of 35 years old, I accomplished every goal. And I said, money meant nothing. I just wanted time with my son to play with him because he was 11 at the time. And I was a newlywed at the time as well. And I was like, it's too soon. But it was an emotional time because I realized I was working 50 hours a week and making great money. I wouldn't see my son as often. I wouldn't miss his football games, his basketball games. I didn't want to go out as much. I was working all the time and accumulating all this wealth and status and sitting at hospital bed, couldn't get up, couldn't walk, my guts taken out. I'm like, money really sucks right now. Like, I just want my health. So it affected everything me moving forward because I realized I got to cut my hours back. I got to enjoy the moment, live in the moment, and let people know that life's about experiences, not about what you collect. And I try to impress that on people, that especially that are going through something, that, hey, I've been in a situation where you are, and I can learn a lesson or two in my past. I can pass on to you. Some people just think they can live forever, David. I don't know if you run into that a lot, but they do.
Well, of course, I live in America.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have a family member who, at 9 years old, was diagnosed with IBD Crohn's, and actually was on TV. I live in San Diego, and our place kicker, Ralph Benershka, was diagnosed with Crohn's while he was in the NFL, and he lost weight, obviously couldn't play any longer. He was a beloved team member of the San Diego Chargers during the old Air Coryell seasons and all. At one point, he was carried off the field by his teammates. Deep respect. And my niece was on national TV with Ralph on the Regis and Kathy Lee show or whatever. And Ralph was so kind to my niece. I didn't know him then. And so my point is that my niece, who I adore, some 30 years later plus, still does not attend to her health. And I love her so much, I wish there were a way that I can have her do that. And she might even hear this, I don't know. But the point is that we're given options. And there's preventative, and then there's maintenance. My bride and I wrote a 419-page book, which we will never publish, by the way. It's called Resanity: Truths About Food, Pharma, and Healthy Living in an Insane World. And we won't publish it because my publisher said if I did, I'd probably have to pay somebody to start my car in the morning. So I won't. But if we don't take care of ourselves, look, when we're healthy, we could think of a million things. Oh my God, look how beautiful it is. I think I'll go over here. I'm going to go for a bike ride. How about a run? How about a this and a that? Maybe I'll just... But when we're ill, we could pretty much only think of one thing. How am I going to get healthy? We lose our options. So only 17% of individuals who choose to join the military today qualify.
That's the physical, right?
Yeah. Past the physical.
Wow, that's
sure, there's
horrible.
other qualifications. Well, we're rather an obese nation, and so I don't want to go into that, but I will say this. Every issue, challenge, I believe, just about every issue or challenge or problem or conundrum that we confront, most of them have built in a lesson for us. I believe every WTF has built in an OMG, and then we LOL a little bit. In fact, I even wrote a book series about that, from WTF to OMG, with a little LOL, Hacking Life's Hidden Lessons. I think it's important that we illuminate our lives, and when we're in a WTF scenario, immediately say, I wonder if there's a lesson in here. I wonder if there's a gift. Immediately. You might not have it, but you probably do. So why compress the timeline of misery? Just start unpacking it now, because the universe is not a moron. And even, if I get a head cold, I just unpack it and say, okay, what's the gift here? Well, it might be, remember that after you fly to nebulize with, 50% hydrogen peroxide and water, it might be, you need some time down, brother. Whatever it is, I don't know. It's the old seek and ye shall find. And so, I did this book series. It's pretty cool. And it hit number 1 on Wall Street Journal. And then I did I've got him here. There. This dude hit number 1 on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list.
Wow. Can I get that book?
And then I did it again. It hit number 2. Look at this one. There's a different one. It hit number 2 behind Prince Harry. Then Mickey, who works with Marja, I teamed up with Marja, and we did number 3.
Wow.
And it's already a Wall Street Journal best-selling series, so people pay me to put their story in here, and now they're a Wall Street Journal best-selling series co-author for the rest of their lives. It's a distinction, and so I'm doing the 4th one. And anybody I have to accept the story. Anybody who submits the story and I can give you the link if you want, then I work with them on the story. They pay to be in the book, and this time they'll be in with some other cool casts. I've got an astronaut. I've got some pretty famous people who are going to be in this. Jerry Mathers, Leave It to Beaver, the guy who invented Ugg boots, blah, blah, blah. And they will have that distinction, plus the book, right? It doesn't hurt to have a book to hand out, a book that you're in with some pretty famous people. But most importantly, on your email signature, on the cover of your book, should you ever write one, you put down Wall Street Journal best-selling series co-author. And it's pretty cool. Unless, if you're already an Olympian, you probably don't need it, though I do have a 4-time Olympian. Yep, there he is, Ruben Gonzalez. He's a 4-time Olympian. He set a record, the only one to be in 4 Winter Olympics over 4 decades in the luge. He's a loser. But anyway, that's a WTF series, and if anybody wants that distinction, it's pretty groovy.
Yeah, I came out with my first book as well, based on my life story with Crohn's disease and playing professional sports and getting into fitness. I still compete today, David. I'm a national qualified men's physique top 2 competitor in the nation, and I'm 53 now. I've been competing the last 15 years. So when I go up on stage and I meet most of the men that compete, they have no idea that half of my gut has ripped out. I've struggled with Crohn's for 35 years, and they're complaining about their aches and pains, and I didn't get to eat their food. I'm like, you understood what I went through to get on the stage for the last 30 years. Half of my intestines cut out and my colon and multiple surgeries. You wouldn't be complaining about your back hurting. That's just an excuse. So I used Crohn's as a crutch to prove myself day in, day out that I can use it as an excuse not to get out of bed, or I can use it as an opportunity to take advantage of, like, I'm one peg below everybody else. I need to step my game up, and I need to become better at everything. And that pushed me in sports, in business, in relationships, being a father, and being a mentor, and getting an opportunity to talk in front of people that, hey, we have issues. We all have limitations, but some have more than others. And when somebody's complaining that they're healthy, right? And you look at them like, you're not grateful for your health. You're taking advantage of your health where people are dying to have your health. It wakes them up. It really does. And so when I sit there and I'm on stage in front of a few thousand people and I'm doing my routine, it's a moment of like where I came from at the age of 15, diagnosed with Crohn's, to I'm now at 53 years old. You're still competing with the best of the best and trying to prove a point is you have your health, you still have everything. You know, and I'm very passionate because I've seen my words help children that struggle with Crohn's at the age of 14, 13, where it changed me forever, where I had one mother reach out to me on Facebook back in 2014. I had a Twitter account and a Facebook group that people can go in and learn about therapies and learn about health and fitness.
But I'm feeling you, man. I'm hearing it. And the question that comes up is, would you, in your opinion, do you feel you would be the same man today if you did not live at first with Crohn's? In other words, was Crohn's a blessing?
At the time, probably not. All right. I was recruited to play professional soccer at the age of 15, possibly go to Europe and play, probably in MLS at the time. But when I was diagnosed with it, obviously I couldn't play anymore because I was losing weight, intestinal problems, bleeding, all the stuff that comes with it. And I was probably mad at the world, you know. And funny, Dave, too, is that a year later I get hit by a drunk driver on my bicycle, broke my tibia and fibula after I got diagnosed. So I'm like, man, God is telling me something. It's time for me to go, or it's something for me to overcome. Between having diagnosed with Crohn's and getting hit by a drunk driver a year later on my bicycle that almost killed me, I'm like, God's telling me something. Get up and make a difference. I look at it as now as it made me a better person. I would probably say so because I don't have excuses. I won't use, I'm tired. I'm not going to use, I just don't feel like it. I use it as a motivation, like I got to get up and go because nobody will do it for me. And it's funny speaking to you, David. You've been doing this for a very long time, right? You've been in this field for many years. you're still passionate about it still. You still have that for it. Eventually, at some point, most people are like, okay, I did my life's work. I just want to go to the sunset, retire, and spend time with my family. But you still have that fire and that zest. Why does that keep you driven? What keeps you feeling that? Because I can feel it through the camera.
So if I slowed down, you know what I would do? I would do exactly what I'm doing. I love standing in front of an audience and lighting them up. It's a gift. I love helping individuals unpack some of what they consider to be WTF situations in their life and having them tell me, actually, it really was an OMG. And we unpack that. There's a guy who came here to the house, and he's got dwarfism. And he told me the story about how his father, he would complain to his father, nobody chooses me to play games, when he was a kid. He goes, well, of course not. You are not built for speed. The way his body structure is, you're built for power. Well, he took that seriously. And he's in this WTF book. He won world championships in weightlifting in Russia, Belarus, the United States. And he shares his WTF to OMG story in there. He didn't take that as an excuse. He didn't play the two popular games I see, Plum, Poor Little Unfortunate Me. And that's one game, Plum. The other game is AIA, Ain't It Awful? No, he stepped into it. And that's what I love, and I'm motivated. So, no, my deal is I don't work. I haven't worked in years. I play, and I love it. I have fun with my audiences. I have fun in my businesses. When I mentor one-on-one, it's serious business. I mean, I just had a woman here. She's the head of all nursing for Johns Hopkins. She's a professor, and I just helped her with her book. We spent 2 days of full-on mentoring and all. I don't help people with their books. It's just one thing that she needed. I also helped her with her presentation and her strategy. My point is, but we have fun. I mean, truth is, we were doing this we went to a conference place, a famous place here in Rancho Bernardo, and she's sitting by a fireplace, and we're doing a video, and the fire's coming out the side. Well, I started singing a country western song about her butt's on fire. And we laughed so hard, we had to stop working and she had to go to the bathroom. So I have fun.
Yeah, it's important.
And so I have passion about life. I'm enthused. I have enthusiasm, which comes from the Greek word entheos, the God within. The ancient Sanskrit says, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, the God within. And I think when you tap into that energy, that divine energy, that spark of energy that lights up the sky and makes trees somehow create oxygen, when you tap into that, you're in good shape. It's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah. What does living at your prime standard mean to you?
Living at what?
Your prime standard.
My prime standard, though that's a dirty word. That's called integrity. And to many people, that's a dirty word. That's integrity. That's integrity. What does it mean to me? It means everything to me. Look, I wrote Illuminate, right? Face it, follow it, and fix it. Then I wrote Preventing Brand Slaughter. You're either building your brand reputation or you're killing it. Nothing's neutral. Then Illuminate and Brand Slaughter got together and I wrote The Illuminated Brand. How are you living your brand even under pressure? Actually, it's got a formula that would kind of make you laugh, and I'll tell you why. It starts with IBD, which is not irritable bowel disorder. It's what are your intended brand descriptors? How do you want to be described by your customers or your family, your children, your spouse, your community? How do you want to be described? You make a list of descriptive adjectives. Those are your IBDs. Anybody who's listening, write this down. Get a pen. I'll wait. Okay, you got it? Good. Get a pen and write this down. IBD, your intended brand descriptors. Then when you have that list, by the way, if you walk into the restroom just to wash your hands and somebody's in the stall talking on the phone, as they always do, really loud, and they're talking about you, what do you want to hear them say about you? That's this list here, you see? That's your IBDs. Then you have a list of your touch points. Who do you interface with? Customers, prospects, suspects, whatever it is, a list of touch points. Now you got an XY axis. So after the IBD, write this down, IBD times ABI, the ABI, the audit of brand integrity. The audit of brand integrity. When you look at this list and this situation, you look at the intersection. Hey man, am I earning that description? Responsive, customer. Man, most of the time, but not all the time. Well, that ain't integrity. That's brand slaughter. How about this one? I don't care. Good communicators. Yes, great. So once you have your IBDs, which stands for what? I can't remember. IBD. Help me here. Help me here. Help me here. Intended brand descriptor. And then you do the ABI, the ABI, the audit of brand integrity. Then where you find you're committing brand slaughter, where you're out of integrity, you do your next step, which is SBI, your strategic brand initiatives. Strategic brand initiative. That's where you close the gap. When you do that, that all equals MBV, massive brand value, because you're in integrity. I think it's WISI, you say what you do and you do what you say. You're living it. And Jack, I believe that that is the intersection between personal development and professional development. Professional development is your brand reputation, so is your but who are you becoming? Who are you being while you're doing what you're doing? When you're closing those gaps, up goes your competence, which then brings up your confidence, which brings up your competence, which brings up your confidence, and you're going up the eensy beensy spider, but not up the water spout, up the spout to fulfillment.
Very powerful stuff. So David, I have two last questions for you. If someone's feeling stuck right now, what should they do first? And where can people find you?
Well, the stuck question, I can't really answer right now because, why are they stuck, right? I think if you stay awake and you are conscious of something and you're stuck there, you don't know how to go further, but you're aware of the issue. You're aware of the gap between where you are and where you want to be. That stuck is different from somebody whose head's in the sand and their ass is exposed and they don't know what's going on. They're an unconscious. They don't have a clue. One is stuck, where they know where they are, they know where they want to be, and they don't know how to close the gap. I'll answer the second question. They can reach out to me via email, david@davidcorbin.com, and I will answer any email. It's not going to be the same day, but I'll answer an email. And if they're stuck, there's that. Look, I would love to help people get unstuck because this great nation is stuck. I just finished 2 manuscripts. One is Reawakening America, illuminating her brand, all about a woman named America, and she's kind of messed up, and she goes to her mentor and says, I'm shaky on my feet. I don't even know who I am anymore. Can you help me to remember who I am, my values, etc.?
Yeah, incredible. I mean, inspiring for sure. Obviously, today's day and age is not like it was back. I miss the 80s, by the way. Every time I hear an 80s music, I'm like, that music, you grew up to that music. It shaped you. It formed you. Unlike the music today, right, where it's not like about love or relationships or seeing things. I was just talking to my wife the other day. I'm like, 80s music touches me. And I was a teenager at the time, but it just moved you. Like the 80s music, the 80s movies, the culture, which is so simple back then that it was love or falling in love or being with family and friends. And it's just today, everything's so disconnected with social media. It's just crazy. But you're at some great stuff. I'm sure our listeners that will be listening to the show, in the future, will be reaching out to you because I'm definitely going to be reaching out to you. I want to appreciate your time to talk to us and I look forward to talking to you again if we could. Great, Dave. Have a great weekend. Look forward to talking to you in the future. Okay? All right, bye. Take care.
This is the Jack Lima Podcast. For more resources to support your growth, visit the Prime 40 website. Until next time, stay focused and keep doing the work. Thanks for watching.